First, we destroy the formula of the show. Second, we ruin the integrity of the game. Third, we invalidate the gameplay of every prior episode. And finally, fourth, we have a slam dunk of a season on our hands. Wait, what? Did we fall backwards into success again? By golly, we did. Internet, my name is Peridiam, and while there has been a myriad of not so good twists throughout the history of Survivor, it should also be said once in a while that, believe it or not every bad twist produced bad results. But Peridiam, all the bad twists are in the seasons that are at the bottom of my rankings. Oh, are they? You sure about that? As I've examined what I enjoy most from Survivor seasons, I have come to realize a bad twist doesn't always ruin my enjoyment. It's not great, mind you, and it's not usually a good place to start, and I wouldn't want these twists in every season, or in some cases, any other season, but that's where I'm going with this video. Sometimes magic can happen regardless. Heck, sometimes I can enjoy something without having to be so overly critical of it. Enjoy it for what it brings, not what it could have brought. On that note, here are the top 5 worst twists that I believe made a Survivor season better. Let's start with what I could best describe as being the twist I was joking about at the beginning of this video. From season 7, Pearl Islands, many fans consider this to be one of, if not, the best season in the history of Survivor. It's regularly regarded as a top 5, and yet it's also regularly regarded as a season with a pretty not good twist in the middle of it. For the sake of TV, the Outcast twist shines bright. It is fun and surprising and has your jaw drop. Players who were voted out are now coming back to exact revenge. You get a little excited to see revenge be enacted, to see the Outcasts return and beat the other 2 tribes. But, oh gosh, as far as Survivor goes, that's really never been how it works. Once your fire is gone, so are you. The tribe has spoken. You only get one life, right? Why did these players get a shot at 2? Isn't that kind of unfair? Unbalanced? And the answer is, yeah. It is, and the producers don't really care too much so long as it makes for good TV. Probst himself hated this twist, still doesn't love it to this day, despite pitching the edge of extinction, and yeah, I get why he didn't like it back then. I think most can see why it's kind of a ridiculous idea, and yet at the same time, it was a fantastic moment of TV. It's considered fairly iconic in the Survivor world. It brought back 2 players from the dead in Lil and Burton, who were quite dynamic on the season and really brought their A game as far as making the best of their second chance. It introduced a 3rd tribe with a new storyline that had to intermingle and reintegrate. We had Lil and her sad face and struggle to get by, and yet also found herself in the driver's seat at times. As well as Burton, who was a major challenge beast and could have won the season at the rate he was going. Savage gets blindsided hard, and this then ties into his storyline in season 31. Sandra finds her partner in Lil to beat in the end. Fairplay gains more power and uses it to blindside Rupert, one of the biggest blindsides in all of Survivor, mind you. And all of that and more occurs because this unfair, unbalanced, show-stopping twist exists for a few episodes. The Outcast twist is perhaps the prime example of this video topic, and regardless of what it meant to the integrity of the game, most fans are willing to overlook it in favor of a great story with a satisfying ending.
Morgan, Drake, your past has come back to haunt you.
No way.
Not unlike the pirate days, they got tired of somebody, felt they were no longer worthy, they shipped them out to sea, left them for dead. Typically, they died, but every so often they didn't. And when they came back, they usually had one thing on their mind. I'm guessing it's the same with you, Michelle.
Revenge, baby. All about revenge.
And if that isn't the elevator pitch for this next twist, great story, satisfying ending, let's talk about the infamous bottle twist from season 13, Cook Islands. Remember the bottle twist? I don't blame you if you don't. The mystery bottle that emerged halfway into the season where whichever tribe lost the immunity challenge would be forced to open the bottle after tribal council later that night. We had a lopsided tribe division where Raro was up in numbers against I2 7-4. They were ready to merge and crush the underdogs, and then suddenly this twist pops up and blindsides everyone, including me. The overdog Raro tribe lose the challenge and vote out Rebecca, and then they open the fated bottle and read its content. They now have to vote out a second member of their tribe right away. No questions, no talking. you vote. So Jenny gets voted out next, and suddenly the numbers between the two tribes are a lot closer, just 5-4 after one episode. But this twist is unprecedented and absurdly unfair. I talked about it in a rule-breaking video in the past, where when you read the rules of Survivor, it states that you need to have an immunity challenge in between every single vote. But that doesn't happen here. This is the only time in Survivor history ever where this has happened. And my best guess is the bottle was introduced because the producers expected the I-24 to dominate the challenge, given they had Ozzy, which they then did dominate the challenge, and then with the merge happening in the next episode and Yul holding the idol, it would have given the plucky underdog I2 Alliance a much better chance at flipping the game. They only needed one person to flip to their side to gain the numbers, whereas with 10 people at the merge, it would have been a lot more difficult. And yet, in spite of this twist, a twist that I don't think anyone really cares for, I've certainly never seen an argument in favor of it existing, most fans consider the result of said twist to have made the season way more enjoyable because the I2 were just way more likable and easier to root for. The underdog storyline becomes a reality with a successful ending, all thanks to the bottle twist, and without it, I wouldn't be surprised if we get another version of Panama where it's similar to Terry's alliance getting destroyed around him while he holds the idol like a bulletproof vest. Meanwhile, in this alternate timeline, we're spending every episode watching Adam make out with Candace, flirt with Parvati, while Penner gives them all the stink eye. A lot of people love Cook Islands, and that's largely because of its post-merge not being that, but instead being a triumph for the little guy, and you can thank the bottle twist for ever existing to make it happen.
The losing tribe will take back to camp with them this bottle. Inside it is a note. You will bring it with you to tribal council. You will open the bottle after you have voted. I2 wins immunity!
I have this feeling of like dread, like I don't want to open it, I don't want to know, because it's going to be something really bad, but who knows?
Rebecca, tribe has spoken. Now it's time to get to the bottle.
You've just voted out one member of your tribe. You will now vote out another. That's not fun.
The 11th person voted out of the Cook Islands and the third member of our jury, Jenny.
Here is another twist that I personally do not like at all, but can acknowledge it has produced one of my favorite seasons ever. Season 16, Micronesia, fans versus favorites. The twist I'm talking about is the overall structure of the cast, fans versus favorites. I find this theme of casting 10 returning players against 10 random fans with air quotes to be quite lopsided, and whenever it happens, it produces just a lopsided season. Both in season 16 and 26, as well as even going so far as Big Brother, where half the cast has the experience of playing the same game, go figure, they tend to steamroll. The fans are inexperienced, they're starry-eyed, and appear as chickens with their heads cut off in comparison. Micronesia even begins the season by boldly stating this to be the case. The favorites are in total control and were in total control all season. Both seasons. That being said, the twist still made the season what it was. I don't think we get such a string of post-merge episodes if it's just all returning players. The Wild Blindsides, the Black Widow Brigade, the string of idols leaving unplayed, and the stick, and Eric giving up his immunity. Micronesia also really accelerates the gameplay right out of the gate. Joel and Mikey B struggle for power. The fans are split and splitting votes to counter potential idols. The storylines are fun and yet also sometimes tragic as we see strong players, both first-timers and returnees, get cut short. The strength of the returning players is evident with Micronesia, but I also think there's something good to be said about the storyline of the fans working with their favorites in some cases, or even thriving or getting taught lessons along the way. It felt kind of natural in a way, and it's one of my favorite seasons in spite of the fact that the twist is inherently likely cutting out 50% of the cast from standing a chance by day one.
You can be a fan of the Boston Red Sox, man, but you don't want to play against the Boston Red Sox. You're going to get your ass handed to you.
This is so much more pleasant than day one of last time. I know, right?
I mean, we all know what we're doing already. So, I mean, the favorites definitely should have the advantage over the fans.
How the hell am I still here today? I have no idea.
Jason is a big fan of mine, but he probably believes that he can do it all better. And he probably wants to prove himself to me or to the world.
I've put us in an alliance without you being there. I put us in an alliance with the four girls. So, but at least the games are revolving around us.
All right, this next one is going to be painful for me to admit, but at the same time, I get it. As some of you know, I am not a big fan of Season 22 Redemption Island. Plenty of reasons, but the important one for this video is that I don't care much for the twist of Redemption Island. I think it ruins the climax of an episode. It cheapens the game a bit. It kind of has a lot of the similar faults to The Outcasts or The Edge, but it also eliminates reward challenges and takes up a bunch of time each episode just to watch someone win a challenge that probably won't mean much in the grand scheme of things. And for what? So that's kind of my short take on the twist. But then suddenly you jump forward 5 seasons to season 27, Blood vs. Water, and we get Redemption Island back as a twist, and suddenly it's actually not so bad. Dare I say I look forward to what's going to happen with the players and this twist? Many fans would say the twist makes this season better, and I agree. And I think it's because the dynamic of the cast, half of them being returnees, but the other half being loved ones, not fans per se, but pre-existing relationships coming into the game, changes the twist quite dramatically. There's a lot of emotion and drama that arises from seeing your loved one voted out, and then being crushed when they lose or elated when they win. The storylines this season, because of this twist, were enhanced and served to build up each duo and each individual. The twist didn't feel like it was taking up time, but instead it was fleshing out relationships and weaving storylines across tribes. Sure, it also protected some of the bigger names from being eliminated so quickly, but unlike with Rob or Russell or Coach or Ozzy, this season wasn't about a couple of big names, but instead about the bonds between everyone. So I think Redemption Island actually worked well here, and perhaps made the season better after all.
Rupert, you can take her spot at Redemption Island. You have now put yourself in a spot in which you have to win your way back into this game.
Time after time, and I will.
Because if you see me in Redemption Island, none of you have a chance in hell. Mr. Football over there smiling at me like he does. You can be big, but that's the worst thing in this game.
You voted out 2 strong people already, hence the reason why you lost.
We're playing Survivor, babe. Maybe there's more to it than that.
You, Brad Culpepper.
And now, Colton, you're crying.
I wanted somebody to come that, you know, she and I could work together to be.
Somebody you could hate.
Somebody I could hate, like Brad Culpepper.
Last, and I guess in this case not least, although I do think some people will leave this one behind, let's talk about the more recent seasons in regard to the twist known as KIP. Knowledge is power. The big, daunting twist introduced in season 41 and then reappearing in 42 and 43. We have yet to see it actually work, but one of these days it's gonna happen. Or maybe it'll just get dropped like a sack of potatoes because 3 strikes and you're out. Now, how do I say this? I'm not a big fan of KIP. I think it's a little overkill and introduces this weird dynamic where everyone has to swap their advantages around in fear of it existing to counter it. It's needlessly complicated and it doesn't make for good TV most of the time. To be brutally honest, most advantages don't. It's the people that do. The twists usually do the opposite and just go nowhere. It's in season 41, however, that I do think the knowledge is power peaked and gave us just about all it has to offer, or will likely offer, when we saw it get played at the merge in an attempt to take Xander's idol from him and vote out someone from his tribe. Liana had this plan to sink Xander's game and it was so juicy, and then we hear that he's actually only got a fake idol that he made himself and he gives it to her, and that's because he worked alongside Tiffany and Evie to swap the idol's possession to juke the powerful advantage and live to see another day with that idol in his pocket. The merge of Survivor is usually when several different storylines collide in a dramatic fashion and someone will inevitably lose out. All the pre-merge roads lead to this collision point, and in the case of this particular season, the knowledge is power advantage only made that drama that much more exciting when the Yase underdogs were established, believed to be getting played, and then we, the audience, and the rest of the tribe were shocked instead to find out there was an even greater plan in play behind the scenes. It gave us a strong narrative for the first half of the post-merge, and it's also where the season shines the most, in my opinion. The underdogs take shape, the Power Alliance is thrown for a loop, and the struggle is on. I can't deny that the season is made better with this advantage in play, and that's enough for me to include it in this video.
This advantage is all about asking the right person the right question. So I have to make sure that Xander has it and hasn't given it to Abby.
You're gonna pray for her?
Yeah.
For sure.
100%.
Okay.
It'll be right on me the whole night, and then when Jeff asks, bingo bango.
Do you have an idol, Xander?
No, but you can have this fixed. Right before we left for tribal, I gave my extra vote and my idol to Tiffany.
She's been telling me all day we're good, and Xander says he's gonna play an idol on me, and she's trying to steal it from him, so.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
And now it begins. Tribal just went very live.
And that's gonna be it. Those are 5 bad twists that made Survivor seasons better. Perhaps it's more just a matter of context. So let me know what you think about these twists, and if there's any other ones out there that you didn't like, but they maybe made other seasons better too. Thank you to my patrons for supporting me and making this video better. What do you know? It's just that easy. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to consider that it's all just a matter of perspective on your way out, and I will see you in the next one. Once I put this damn shoe on my other foot. There we go.
The isolated and unforgiving edge of extinction, where you will await your chance to get back in this game.
I think the best way for me to handle the situation is to try to find a way to release my anger. So let's just fill his shoes up. I'm not going to sit back anymore and let them rub things in my face. I've been too nice up to this point, but the game has just begun.